Hi YouTubers, resellers, and thrifters. My name is Carrie and my channel here on YouTube is Be Carried Away. I'm a sometimes part-time, sometimes full-time reseller, meaning that I go to primarily thrift stores for me, but also some garage sales, estate sales, online auctions, and the like, looking for undervalued items to resell for a profit. I have a really exciting new series that I hope you're all going to enjoy. This is something that I've been thinking about doing for a while, and it's a new series called Price With Me, where I'm going to take you along on my journey to price items for resale. I'm going to choose items from a wide variety, clothing, shoes, handbags, as well as hard goods, vintage, as well as modern items, but they're all going to be items that are a little bit harder to price. So the tougher things, the things that I know nothing about, perhaps the items where the comps, the regular comps are just all over the map. I might find something for $20 and another one for $300. So how, as a new reseller, do you come up with your price? So as a moderator on the Bolo Buddies Facebook page, if you are a member of Bolo Buddies on YouTube, Courtney does have a Facebook page over on Facebook, obviously. But as a moderator on that page for her, I see that a lot of new resellers are often on that site asking for advice. How should I price this? What's the value of this item? I don't know anything about this. So new sellers find it helpful to figure out, what sources are you using? What web pages? How are you figuring out how to price your item? As well as seasoned resellers like myself. Sometimes we come across things we just don't know anything about, or we find something that's kind of a one-off, or again, the comps are all over the place. So this new series is going to not just be me telling you how I price my items. I could do a sort of chalkboard lecture, step 1, step 2, step 3, but every item is so different, and there are so many resources available at our fingertips online, talking to people, whether it's going to a Facebook page, an expert group, just basic Google searches, Google Lens searches, and those kinds of things. Price guides. So what do I use on in particular items? But I'm going to show you. So I'm going to take you along on my journey. I'm going to pick out some unique items, and I'm going to do it sort of real time with you. So I'm going to take you along, show you how I'm coming up with prices for harder to price items, or items that just maybe take a little bit longer. So in each part of the series, I'm going to pick out a couple different items, and I'm going to actually take you with me along the journey as we go to price these items. So this is actually my favorite part of reselling, and it's how I decided to sort of do this new series. I love the research aspect of finding out about these items. What are they? All these aspects of our material culture, learning about particular items and what their value might be. So I know not everybody loves this aspect, but it is something that needs to get done. You do need to find a good price point for your items. You don't want to overprice something so you're out of the market, and you definitely don't want to underprice and not get the value for that particular item. So while we all love the sourcing and going out and looking for treasure, which really is treasure hunting, I think of this pricing aspect or this research aspect as the second part of that. So you have your going out and treasure hunting, but then you got to come back and do some super sleuthing and some detective work. And so I find that really equally as interesting to find out about what I've got, how much it might be going for, and et cetera, et cetera. So I thought it might be a useful series to show you the different tools and websites that I use to price my items. So come along with me. I've got a few items today to get started, and I hope that this will be an ongoing series, and I hope you enjoy it and also learn something about it as we go. Okay, my first item is something that I sourced at a garage sale for just $2, and it's this beautiful hand-painted wooden trinket box, and look at the beautiful detail on that painting. You can just tell that it's hand-painted just by the feel and also by the look of it. But unfortunately, there are no markings even under the price tag. There's just nothing to talk about what exactly this is. So I need to find out what is it and how should I price it. Now, the best part about this is you open this up and it's a nested series of 3 little wooden boxes. So they're definitely wood and they're painted, but no markings, no signature on it, nothing on the box themselves. And I did look them over quite carefully. Sometimes marks and signatures can hide. So my number one strategy first is to ask at the point where you're sourcing. So this was a garage sale item. So what better idea than to, literally ask the person, do you know what this is? Where did you get this? And the woman at the garage sale told me that her mother collected Russian nesting dolls. And so she thinks that this is probably Russian and that it belonged to her mother. So I'm gonna start with that premise. Now, just from my own intuition and thinking, that's probably what I thought it was as well. So I'm gonna write this down. I just recommend you just have a little notebook and just write some things down. You don't wanna do the work and then lose it and then try to remember and forget. If you get interrupted, if you just finding all kinds of information, you're not sure what it is. So I did write down Russian, 3 nested trinket boxes, wood, and hand painted. Now I would also say that this black paint is a lacquer. It's like a lacquer paint, and that's something that I just know. So I'm gonna put that in as well. So I'm gonna go to the computer. The first thing I'm gonna do with this one is see if I can do a screenshot of this item and put it into Google Lens. So let's do that first and see if I can come up with any similar images. Is there one that's exactly like it? Is there one that's somewhat like it? Let's go take a look using Google Lens. Now, if you don't have Google Lens, you can download that. It's a separate app. It's not just the regular Google. Go on your computer, download Google Lens onto your phone. It works great on the phone. You can do it right in the thrift store or wherever you happen to be. Okay, so as you can see in the screenshots up here, doing Google Lens, I did come up with a couple of similar types of trinket boxes. There weren't as many that were nested, so that's something that I want to think about. Is it something that's rare to find 3 of them together like this? I found kind of just single ones, and I've also found a couple of square, but they had more of a scene on them, as you can see up here. So, but so far it's looking good because some of these prices for these hand-painted wooden boxes are significant. So I'm going to dig a little deeper and see if I can find out more. So when using Google Lens, you can take a real quick snapshot of something. Here's just a screenshot of the video of me holding it up. I put that into Google Lens and do a search. I'm seeing some somewhat similar items, so I'm feeling pretty good about this. There's a floral round lacquer painted box, and this looks new. It's on a Russian site for trinket boxes and other souvenirs. That one was $47. Now, one of the issues that I run into here, though, is that all of this is in the Cyrillic alphabet and rubles. So I'm going to backtrack back out of this site because it's not really helping me price. So I'm thinking that I'm going to type in some of the keywords that I know rather than rely just on Google Images at this point. So I'm going to back out of this here and type into Google and just do a basic Google search next. So the first thing I'm going to do with my Google search is a simple search, which is just the basics, lacquer box. I'm not putting in a lot of detail yet. I want to see what comes up just with the basic category of a lacquer box. And I'm getting square boxes. I'm getting boxes from a variety of different cultures. There are some Asian influence boxes, and it's not really that helpful. So now I need to narrow it down. So I'm going to put floral painted, and let's see if I come up with something different. So I haven't said that this is Russian. I don't know for sure quite yet, but when I put in floral painted box, the first things that do come up are Russian painted boxes. These are actually being sold on Amazon for about $20. There are a couple of different designs, and while they look similar, I do think that mine is a little bit more delicate, a little bit more interesting because it is a nested set. So I'm not really going to just kind of stick with that Amazon image. I'm going to dig a little deeper and see if I can find a set. Now, what I find is that these Russian lacquer boxes are works of art. They are a historic tradition of painting on paper mache, so they're not all wood. Those really expensive $700 boxes that we saw earlier are old. They're painted on paper mache, and they're a layered series of really delicate paintings. Paleka, Kaloi, Mystera, and Fedoskino. I keep seeing these words over and over, so I took a screenshot of that right there so that I can read this in more depth. And I find out that there are 4 particular towns. These are the towns here, Paleka, Kaloi, Mystera, and Fedoskino, where this tradition was started and where you'll find the artists and art from those particular towns. So the really expensive $100 items are things that may be labeled, signed, and from one of those towns on paper mache and done in this traditional style and technique. So it's layers of paint and lacquer, another layer of paint and lacquer. So they really have this just beautiful depth to the painting. So here's an example of that. If you just pull this up, you can really see the depth of this art. Absolutely gorgeous. And so this one with the wildlife scene, the birds, is $120. So I don't quite think that's what I have. My style of painting isn't quite at that depth, and it is a more simple floral painting. So I'm going to keep going and see what else I can find that's more similar to what I have so that I can get a price. So first we did a simple search, lacquer boxes in Google. Now I'm going to do an everything but the kitchen sink search. I'm going to throw in all the words that I know, all the things, all the words. So nesting lacquer boxes, hand painted. I'm going to put in Russian. I'm going to put in floral. All of the keywords that might help me get closer to a price, closer to the boxes that I have. The boxes I have are not from one of the 4 towns. They're not a scene, they're not a portrait. They're not a lot of these really, really expensive paper mache artworks. They're beautiful, but they're just a little bit more simple. Now, when I put in nesting boxes, I get directed to Etsy. Now, I don't even sell on Etsy, but it turns out Etsy, for this particular search, is going to be a very interesting and helpful site to be on. So I see several sets like mine. Ding, ding, ding. There they are. Floral, nested set. The painting looks similar. So I'm going to look through the photos, make sure that it's quite similar to mine. I'm going to look at the price because that's what I'm thinking about. $48, one-of-a-kind hand-painted jewelry boxes nest into each other with a floral motif. Excellent condition, etc., etc. These are very, very similar to mine, and I feel like this is what I've been looking for. So I want to see if there are any others. That's really the only one that I see at this moment. And so I scroll down. I'm still on the Etsy site, and I do see more. So I'm really happy. I find that this is what I was looking for. So let's click on a set. Here's another one. It's by a different seller, and the price is about the same. Actually, it's exactly the same, $48. So right now, I'm thinking that that's about where I'm going to go with mine. Set of 3 black lacquer nesting boxes, bowls. I'm going to call them trinket boxes. Hand-painted delicate strokes of color. So this is really what I've been looking for. And I feel like my search for a price has ended here on the Etsy site. Now, my interest, I keep scrolling because my interest has not ended. So one thing that you're doing when you're doing this sort of research, you're finding a price for one particular item, but you're building up your own personal knowledge base. Knowledge is money in terms of reselling. And so while I'm here, I'm going to look through a couple of the other images, and I want to see what are these Russian lacquer boxes. I want to see some of the really beautiful ones, the really expensive ones, so that if I happen to see one somewhere, I pick it up. Look at the Red Riding Hood. Now, this is going to be open up in Pinterest. I do recommend, if you're searching on your phone, that you do have the Pinterest app on your phone because you'll be able to open up a lot of these images in the app and get better detailed photos. So here's one that's only $20. It's not nested. It looks a little bit different. I do zoom in because it does have a paper label, so I'm a little jealous. This one I just think is absolutely gorgeous. So this is the really, expensive works of art, the layered. You can almost see it even through the phone screen. You can see that layered technique of hand painting. So right now I'm just scrolling around. I'm getting a better sense of what these are. But I have my price. I feel like I found a little bit out about Russian lacquer, the tradition of it, and I have a $48 price, and I'm going to go with that. Okay, so my next item that I'm going to price, it should be a little bit quicker than the lacquer boxes, is all of this. Look at all of this yarn. So yarn should be pretty basic and pretty easy to price, to find comparables for. This is what's known as Aunt Lydia's heavy duty rug yarn. So I'm sure that I'm going to find comps for this, but I'm also trying to find out how I should sell it. Should I sell it all in a big group? Should I break it apart? Should I sell one or two skeins, which is what these are known as? Each ball of yarn, each yarn is a skein. I'm not a knitter or a crafter, but I do know that. And so I want to find out how to price these, how to list them, in what sort of quantity, and then I'm going to take you along and let's take a look. So let's go look at some comps or comparables and find out, about this color, about this style. They're definitely vintage. Maybe I can find out how old they are, etc., etc. So my next item is a whole bunch that I got for $3.99 for each big pack. So I have $12 worth here, but I have 4 giant packs of Aunt Lydia's vintage rug yarn. So let's go see what we can find out. Help me price this. So because Aunt Lydia's rug yarn is more common, I can go straight to eBay to look for comps. So I type in Aunt Lydia's rug yarn and I go to sort by solds. It's really important to look at sold items and not just what's listed. You might want to look at both at times, but to get a sense of what has actually sold, you want to make sure you're looking at the sold price. There's lots of solds, and they are all over the place in terms of price. It looks to me like most of the sellers are grouping by color. So I'm going to want to sell mine, my red together with the red and the flax color together with flax. That's the other color that I have. So I'm going to look and see what red is going for. So here's a couple of different sales, current sales. It's selling decently, 6 or 7 skeins for $20, 5 skeins, $20. So I'll probably do something similar with the red. Now I have to think about the other color, which is flax. So I'm going to type that in and see what comes up. And nothing comes up. No exact matches. Let's see what's currently selling. Is there any flax? So I've now looked in both sold on eBay and in currently selling on eBay, and there's no Aunt Lydia's rug yarn in the color flax. So because of that, I'm going to cast a wider net now, and I'm going to go out and go look on the internet. Just a regular old Google search. So once I'm sure that I'm not seeing it, I'm kind of just double checking here, making sure I don't see any flax kind of mixed in with one of the mixed lots. I'm going to go out and do just a plain old Google search. I'm putting in Aunt Lydia's rug yarn, and I want to put in the color flax. So let's see what comes up. I see someone's using this yarn to make flies, fishing flies, which I find interesting. Here's one, flax cork color, and that takes me over to Amazon. So let's see how much that's going for. That's unavailable. Okay, so this is looking good for me. It's looking like the color flax is a rare color or a harder to find color. It may mean that it's not as popular, but it also might mean that there just isn't a lot of it. It's a neutral color, so I think, it's going to be useful for almost anyone. Next, I go over and I'm looking at Etsy, which came up in the Google search, and I'm going to type in flax specifically and see if there is any. Again, I'm coming up empty in terms of the flax color. I look and I see something kind of similar, so I zoom in and I want to kind of see if that's flax in that mixed lot, but I can't really tell there. So I'm still thinking that the flax color, I'm going to start with a much higher price than the red, just because it's harder to find. Now, I find also this interesting Aunt Lydia's webpage on American, the yarn company itself. And of course, I love to go in and find out more about this yarn. And it actually turns out to be quite useful because I can date this yarn very specifically based on the fiber content. So certain periods of years, they had different fiber contents from 1978 to 1979 when they stopped making it. So in their last year of production, they had Codell 100% polyester, which is what I have. So I'm able to actually date that yarn to 1978 to 1979. Fascinating, right? So I just took a quick look over at Mercari first, and just to see if there's any flax. I'm kind of just double checking. I don't want to make a mistake and find out there's tons of flax everywhere and I just happened to miss it, or there just wasn't any on eBay, but there was a lot of it somewhere else. And I really don't see that. So now I'm looking at, kind of what are the numbers? How many are listed? How many sold? What is the sell-through rate? I'm going to divide the number sold by the number currently listed, and I come up with about 40%. That means that about 40% of the listed items do sell in the 90 days that are showing on eBay. So that's pretty good. 40%, almost half of all of the yarn, Aunt Lydia's yarn listed, sells within 3 months. So that means that I can price mine pretty aggressively and still expect them to sell. Okay, so I have one more item. My third item for this video is this absolutely gorgeous religious print. And sorry about the ring light shadow there, but this is the Sacred Heart of Mary, and it's in this kind of composite. It's not really wood, it's almost like a composite. This is wood here, wood carved, and then it's on this sort of composite backing. There's a little bit of information down here about the print itself, but I need to figure out what this is, when it was made approximately, maybe, what this frame is, and most importantly for this series, how to price this. So help me price this absolutely gorgeous religious print. Okay, so because I do have some information about this particular item, I'm going to start with the broad search rather than, a narrow search. So I'm going to go out to just a Google search as my starting point, and I'm going to type in what I do know about it. Sacred Heart Mary print, Chicago, Illinois. That's what I can see that's on the print. So I can see under the frame some writing. I can't see the whole thing, but that's what I can see. So I'm going to put that in, and I'm going to see lots of images of Mary coming up. So I'm scrolling down, and very quickly I see an example of the exact print that I have. So I want to go in. It takes me to Etsy. It says that it's been sold. There's no price, but I want to look at it a little more closely and just confirm that this is the same print. And this seller says that this is by Turner Manufacturing Company, which I wasn't able to see under the frame, but the writing, all of it is exactly the same. So I know now that I have a print from the Turner Manufacturing Company of Chicago, Illinois. So now I can go in and put in the Turner print and see if that brings up more. And there's hers again, and there's several other images of that same print. So bingo. And very quickly I have found exactly what I was looking for, just with, in this case, just with a basic Google search that took me quickly to Etsy. But I don't have a price yet because it didn't say on that Etsy sold what it sold for. So I'm going to go on a hunch. I'm going to say maybe she sold it somewhere else and had it cross-listed. So let's go over to eBay and type in the same information and see if I can find a price. So I'm typing in Sacred Heart Mary. I'm going to eBay. I'm typing in Sacred Heart Mary Turner print, and let's see what comes up. So here we have no exact matches. So currently for sale, there are no Sacred Heart Mary Turner prints. There are others, but not from Turner. Let's go and filter by solds. So go into the filters, click sold, and boom, there is that same print. So it looked like exactly that. That seller sold it over here on eBay. She listed it at $135, and I'm taking a screenshot so that I'll have that information with me when I go to list it. And because it had a line through it, she did take a best offer. So now I want to go and see if I can find out what that best offer was. One way to do that is to go to WorthPoint. A lot of people know WorthPoint because when you do a Google search, it'll come up, and unless you have a subscription, a pay per month subscription, you will not be able to see the price. I do have a subscription, so I go over and type in Sacred Heart Mary Turner print to see if I can find that exact one. It's not in here yet. It did just sell last month, so sometimes it does take a while for that to be coming up in the WorthPoint search, I've noticed. So I do see some other ones. Now you have to be careful because these are going way back. So I see 2006, etc. So time is, when it's sold is important. Things do change radically. So this just sold September 9th for somewhere under $135. So I have a starting point for my item, and I'm really happy that I was quite quickly able to do that. Okay guys, so I did all of that research on my phone for this video. I hope to in the future be doing some screen sharing of my computer. For certain websites it is easier to go on the computer rather than the phone. But I think that you get the idea about this series, and I hope you'll enjoy it, and we'll be doing some clothing, some shoes, some bags, hard goods, as well as books. I started as a book reseller, and so I am planning to get back into books, and I'll have some tips on how to search, and where to search and what to look for. So thanks so much for watching, and happy thrifting, everybody.